week. Come on in. All right, we have Andre Staley first in the chat. That's right, Andre Staley. We got Cassandra Bradley second in the chat. We got Sister Charles from Houston. We got Kim, our AT alien, as well as Timekeeper. We got Mila. Good morning. We got TP in the house. We got Tanja all through the What Did Chris Do This Week? And we got Christina from Minneapolis. All right, Kim saw Sinners yesterday. I'm going to see Sinners tomorrow in New York City in the IMAX. Can't wait. We got D sending sunshine to you. It is definitely about the purple rain around our way. It looks looking a little gloomy. Look at Tanja. Tanja's going to Sinners again. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, we are lobbying for C. Lee to go see Sinners, even though C. Lee does not like horror films. Gotta go. We got Sophie. And yes, EA, hello to those of us who have not forgotten him, because this week was a very special date. It's been 9 years since Prince has passed away, but we celebrate Prince every day. And yes, Sophie, I had that in the accompanying playlist last week. Ryan Coogler, the director of Sinners, breaking down all the formats, but I'll put it in this accompanying playlist again after our session. We got LTK in the house. And yes, LTK, the party is in the house because you are here. We got Chris Bournet just popping in to say hello from the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival. That's what I'm talking about. That's actually on my bucket list. I've never been to a New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival. New Orleans is my favorite city in the States. It's a beautiful city if you haven't visited. And we got Theo in the chat. We got Ronald Dagley Jr. in the chat. We got Lady Cab Driver. We have 71. We have Christopher Means. I can't wait to see it. I wanted to see it last week, but it was sold out last weekend, unless you wanted to be in the front row. And I don't want to be in the front row of an IMAX. My head will be going back like forever. We got Vanessa. It was such a great time hanging out with you, Vanessa, at Chris Rob's amazing show on April 21st on Monday. We had a great time together. We got Kyle Christian in the house. Thank you so much. Yes. Also, please see We Want the Funk. It is an amazing documentary by the great Stanley Nelson, who also directed Miles Davis' Birth of Cool. And if you haven't seen Miles Davis' Birth of Cool, make sure you check that out, because they also have a little bit of Prince in there when Miles Davis joined Prince on the stage at Paisley Park. And yes, we celebrate every day. We got Chip and Sparrow from Japan. Thank you so much. I love this, LTK. Prince is forever. That's right. And we got Anna B. Blooms of Purple Passion. Love that. We got Mooches from Philly. Always love having you here. Mooches, just so we can see Vanity. And we got Audria. Yes, Sinners is a must-see. And, oh, wow, I didn't know about DJ Spinner's Slow Slam last night. And DJ Spinner actually came out to Chris Rob's show, which was amazing to see. And so this is a public service announcement for C. Lee, because C. Lee watches this when he's not able to join us live. Tanja is saying, I don't either, but I made it happen more a thriller with the gore. All right, Theo started the day off on April 21st with a quiet listen of Sometimes It Snows in April. And Raywin, welcome Raywin, wore their Prince Purple Rain shirt and hat on Prince Day. Love that, Prince Day, April 21st. And yes, of course, K-Cool Music, love God, love life, love sexy. Yes, Kyle. Miko was definitely kicking. Miko kicks butt every single day. I mean, because that's the kind of player that Miko is, for sure. Welcome back, La. Drea Dances. So nice to have you here. Yes, Chris Rob killed it. And yes, Chris Rob was at the Blue Note last night with Slum Village. Did you go, Vanessa? Yes, our purple brother is definitely doing the work. Yes, so Annabias with C. Lee, still traumatized by the Exorcist and Salem's Lots movies. But I don't, from what I've heard, Sinners is not that kind of movie, but somebody correct me who actually has seen it if I'm wrong. And we got Levine, Ford, thank you so much. You're never late. Thank you for being here. Awesome, Chip and Sparrow. I'm so happy that you were able to watch this in Japan. I think you can watch it from the PBS website because I have a friend, my best friend lives in Japan, and he said that he couldn't watch it on YouTube, but he could watch it on the link directly from the PBS website. So let me know how you were able to watch it, Chip and Sparrow. And Kim said that the gore for Sinners wasn't that bad. The story is worth it. And Audra says, I'm a horror fan. It's not that bad. Thank you, LTK. So I just posted Camila's video because I'm slowly uploading the Symposium videos. And this is the issue. And this is the reason why we did it on Zoom events. I also wanted to upload Zach's presentation because Zach's and Camila's are pretty much in conversation with one another. But Zach had a snippet of My Guitar Gently Weeps, and YouTube was like, no. So I got to cut that out. So it takes me time to go through and edit all the stuff that I have to edit out. And if it's too much, like I'm sure Adam Rudiger's amazing musical presentation will not be able to go on YouTube, but I'll post that to my Vimeo channel, which is at Polished Solid. I'm at Polished Solid on all social media platforms. Amazing. I'm so happy that you went to the Slum Village show last night. And then let's see. Purple Cat Confetti, welcome. Went to Record Store and finally grabbed an original Super Tramp Breakfast in America to honor my brother's 1 year passing. So happy to also have Glam Slam album. Oh, okay. Thank you so much for letting me know. I wonder why my friend was, okay, I'll let him know that. And then, okay. Tanja says, put it this way, Celie, you know when to turn your head or close your eyes. That's right, Tanja. Yes, Mucha. Sinners is so much more than a vampire movie. Please go see it. So worth it. Because to be honest, this is like sometimes where I wish so much wasn't in social media, because based on the little clips that I've seen, I would have never known it was a vampire movie. And even though vampires are my favorite genre, it's, you know, it would have been nice to have that surprise like in the theater. Welcome, Lee Christian. So great to have you here. No, I did not get the George Harrison and Beck 7 for a Record Store Day. I only got the yellow vinyl of the Glam Slam show and my annual Doors purchase. Like the Doors always have something for a Record Store Day. And yes, Michael said this last week, you want to stay until the lights come on if you go see Sinners. And yes, for sure. Lee Christian, Dust Till Dawn, Robert Rodriguez, and Quentin Tarantino. And for those of you who are a Robert Rodriguez fan, he was just on a podcast with Tim Ferriss, who is one of my favorite podcasters. And they last spoke 10 years ago on Tim Ferriss's podcast. So the original 10 years ago podcast is one of my most favorite conversations that I've ever heard in my life between Robert Rodriguez and Tim Ferriss. And the second conversation is really, really good. So you should seek that out if you're a fan of film and Robert Rodriguez in particular. And the reason why I gravitate towards Robert Rodriguez is because he very much reminds me of Prince in terms of filmmaking. You need to read his book. He has a book that was written, I don't know, a long time ago called Rebel Without a Crew. He created his first film, El Mariachi, with only 2 people, like 2, 3, like very skeletal cast, a very low budget, but it did very, very well in the box office. And then he was able to get a major studio deal and redid it as Desperado with Antonio Banderas. But and now, very, again, similar to Prince building Paisley Park, or Tyler Perry building his studios in Atlanta, Robert Rodriguez has had a fantastic film compound or studio, or whatever you want to call it, in Austin, Texas for years. So especially in these days that we find ourselves in terms of art and media, it's really interesting to study people who sort of do for themselves, like build their own facilities and are able to have a lot more control of their destiny. And that's actually what Prince was preaching for a very long time towards the end of his time with us, in terms of owning your own masters, so your masters don't own you and all of that. So Robert Rodriguez is a very, very excellent person to follow, even if you don't like film, just about how to do things on your own and be very, very successful at it. Yes, Karan, that's the thing. I wanted to see Sinners last weekend, but it was sold out. So I'm so happy to hear that it's still sold out. I mean, we got to go out and support. It's really important, because I love going to see movies in the theater. And I know less and less people are going to see films. But if you actually watch, oh no, it's okay. Sinners it's for me and Kim. Again, this is what it's all about. It's about Prince, but I'm sure Prince would be okay with us talking about Sinners, because Prince also loved film, if you know your Prince. And so I think he wouldn't mind us talking about that. And Vanessa is going to see it tonight. So Vanessa, are you going to Lincoln Center, or are you going to the Alamo? Where are you going? Yes, I agree, Lee Christian, that the mariachi films level up in a brilliant way with each sequel. I think it's really, really interesting. I'm glad that you're framing it this way, Lee Christian. If you really want to see how you can start in one place and end up in another, the El Mariachi series is a really great place to start. You have to start somewhere. Oh, I love this. Yeah, I'm sure Prince would have thoughts, for sure. Yeah, I would hope he would. I know he would, because he loved film so much. Yes, Carol. Yes, say this, Carol. This movie should be seen in theaters. There are certain films that need to be seen in the theater, and this is one of them. Okay. Oh, okay. You're going to a theater in Astoria. Very nice. I've never. I went to go see. I was about to say I've never gone to a film, but I did go to the Museum of Moving Images to see Under the Cherry Moon. So yes, I'm going to see it in IMAX. That's the reason why I wanted to wait. For sure. All right, so let's get this party started. And Michael, obviously, if you're on Michael's channel, Michael's not joining us, but I hope that you will still want to hear about Prince. And so that's the reason why I'm streaming it to Michael's channel, even though he's not here. And also, if you are following Michael's channel and my channel, but you're following What Did Prince Do This Week, I don't want to break the chain, so to speak. And also, Lee won't be able to join us because he has a poetry reading or a sports thing. There's a lot going on in everybody's lives. But I am so grateful that you are here with me. So I'm really excited about this week in 1985. So we are week 17 of 1985. We're going week to week, not date to date. Hopefully everybody understands this. This is actually really important, because if we have 2 different versions of this book. We have the soft cover, and you have the soft cover one because it's soft and it's not as heavy as the hard cover. But also, if you're purchasing it online, You want to make sure that you get the one with the circle because this is the paperback and the most updated version. Duane came on at the first of the year and told us there are about 50 additional pages and there are corrections, and there's always corrections. Happy Saturday, Arlene. Thank you so much. And then let's see. Oh, wow. Okay. I hadn't heard this, so thank you, Carol. So Carol's saying the music alone is worth the price of admission, and I need to see it again in IMAX this time. Yes, yes. That's funny. I wish. If only I had the time to do that. All right, so we're going week to week, night to day to day. You can follow the detailed schedule at our bit.ly link or our QR code. You do not need the paperback version, but that has the most up-to-date info, as I just said. And please subscribe to youtube.com at Polished Solid, as well as at MDean, which is Michael Dean's channel. And please subscribe, like, and help spread the word. I want to get the word out about what did Prince do this week, just because I think it's really important for people to know about Prince's work ethic and also like just a commitment to his art. And so if you can just, hit like or subscribe and tell your Prince friends to join us or watch the archives, that would be really amazing. Obviously there's also the algorithm. So there are a lot of Prince related videos that get thousands and thousands of views. This one only gets hundreds of views. And I really think it's important to help get the numbers up on this. Again, not for me, but just one, for Duane's book, to expose Duane's book to more people, because I want Duane to continue to write these books. I know he's going to write at least one more book, but it would be fantastic if he could do at least 4 books in the series. And I know that's asking a lot. But if we can get the sales up, that would be really fantastic. And also just, get the knowledge up of Prince beyond Purple Rain would be amazing. So thank you for helping in any way. All right. So that's funny, Lee Christian. I like this. D'Angela and the Vanguards. Okay. And Karan said, oh, wait, hold on a second. The chat is moving fast. Got my Glam Slam right at Electric Fetus while in town. That's so amazing. I've never been in Minneapolis for Record Store Day. Almost always in Atlanta or New York. So yes, Purple Nerds Unite. I kind of like that. I think if I was going to release something, I think I would do that. Purple Nerds Unite. I love that. Okay. D wants to know, for all you awesome folks going to see Sinners in theaters, random question about how much do Slurpees cost there now? I'm taking a wild guess because I haven't looked at Slurpees in a long time, but I'm thinking about $8 or $10. But someone who actually knows this information, please let us know. Everything is getting outrageously expensive these days. We have a hashtag, which is WDPDTW in our Gmail. See, I did it right on the, see, I just made a guess. And that's the response to that. I hear you, D. So yes, I got my Prince Live at the Glam Slam vinyl on Record Store Day. Yellow vinyl, triple set. And what was interesting in my class this week, we were talking about Crystal Ball as a potential 3, like a triple set. And one of my students asked, what is a triple set? So we had to explain, you get 3 different vinyls. So that was really interesting. Yes, D. I remember when they were 79 cents. Yes, those were the days. All right. Lee Christian wants to know, how much is a beer if you go to a theater that serves beer? I don't think all theaters in the States serve beer. At least I don't think they do. I usually just go to the Alamo, and I know they serve beer, but like the major chains like AMC and Regal, I don't know if they do, because I don't drink alcohol, so I don't keep up with that kind of stuff. All right. So let somebody in the chat let Lee Christian know what we're talking about. Oh, Tanja, You are a daughter after my mom's heart. Yes. Bring everything in the purse. Yes. Uh, I hear you. You're going to have to because things are getting so expensive. Now, for those of you who don't know, this is an independent endeavor. The estate of Prince Rogers Nelson is not affiliated, associated, or connected with the What Did Prince Do This Week book club series. Yes, I love this. I used to get a big box of popcorn and Slurpee when I used to go to the theater and bring in my own Ruffles to put in my popcorn. Haven't been to the movies since COVID. So I'd slowed down after COVID for sure. And maybe a year and a half ago, I started going more frequently, but not as much as I used to. I used to go to the movies every single week and sometimes twice a week. I loved going to the movies. It's a little different now. So Purple Cat Confetti saying, twist and shout is not quite the same as being an electric fetus. I don't know about twist and shout. Is that in Minneapolis or a different city? Talk to us about twist and shout. Yes, of course, Lee Christian. So Lee Christian wants us to know that concessions are how cinema survives. Because you would never know from the ticket price, but that's mainly because of the studio distribution for sure. Yes. I love all of these. This is really funny. Okay, so it seems like I want to go back to Purple Cat Confetti's Twist and Shout is Denver. It's in Denver. Cool. All right. Denver is a beautiful city. I've only just driven through it, but based on what I've seen. And we want to remember our community guidelines. We choose to be a community even when we disagree. And we played at the top of the hour Lines, the first track off of Eric Leeds' Times Squared. And this is one of the only songs on Times Squared that does not have any Prince involvement and is actually my favorite track. And if you missed our conversation, actually 2 years ago with Eric Leeds about Times Squared, I would highly recommend that you go back and watch that. And I'll put that in the company playlist after as well. So we are at our 120th episode. And I want to thank you. Some of you have been here since day one, which is insane to think about. We have met 120 in consecutive Saturdays in a row to read this amazing book from Duane and to be reminded of how hard Prince worked every week. And this week is no exception, week 17. So this week we have 3 new songs, but he works on a lot of other songs in terms of tracking songs, 3 newly tracked songs in 6 studio sessions. And so this is what we're looking at. It's a lot, as you can see. And you'll see that on Sunday, there's tracking for Sometimes It Snows in April. So one thing that you should note about that is that song was tracked on April 21st of 1985. And if you know when Prince passed, you know he passed on April 21st. So is it a coincidence? I don't think so. One of my favorite books in the world is called The Celestine Prophecy. I read it a long time ago, and I can't remember when it came out. Probably my late 20s, early 30s. So at least 20 years ago, if not longer. And after reading that book, I never think of coincidences as coincidences. So that's just me. That might be too woo-woo for some of you, but that's me. All right. And then on Sunday, there's also a first assembly of the parade record. Now, this is really crazy to think about. Now, it's only been actually 2 weeks since the end of the Purple Rain tour. On Monday, Around the World in a Day is being released. So on the 22nd of 1985, Around the World in a Day is released. But on April 21st, the day before Around the World in a Day is released, he's already assembled a first pass of the parade record. Sit with that a moment, okay? And he has been on fire these past 2 weeks. And in addition to Sometimes It Snows in April, we'll see that on Wednesday, he tracks Holly Rock, as well as does overdubs and mixes. And then you'll see on Saturday, he tracks Kiss. So those are the 3 songs he tracks this week, which is incredible. And then in addition to the Around the Realm of the Day release, like Prince isn't celebrating his release. He's just continuing to work. He's in the studio doing voiceovers and mixes for Christopher Tracy's Parade, I Wonder You, Life Can Be So Nice. And then on Tuesday, there's more overdubs for Christopher Tracy's Parade. There's overdubs and mixes for Evalsi Dog. And then there's overdubs for New Position. And then on Wednesday, there's more overdubs and mixing for Christopher Tracy's Parade. And then there's overdubs and mixing for Under the Cherry Moon, in addition to Holly Rock tracking. And then overdubs and mixes. And then on Thursday, we got Holly Rock. We got overdubs, mixes, edits, and copies. And then one of my favorite things in the world is the America 12-inch. I can't seem to stop playing it. In celebration of Around the Realm of the Day and the Pop Life 40 virtual symposium, I've been playing America a lot. And there's a rehearsal that I play a lot about America. So I've been listening to that song just like kind of nonstop, and it never gets old. So working on the 12-inch this Thursday, again, April, see, I'm saying America because it's like America, April 25th, that Thursday. And then according to Duane, there's nothing on the 26th, but I'm sure there's something going on. And then on Saturday, again, there's tracking of Kiss and overdubs. That's right, Lady Cab Driver, the 21-minute version. Yes, the overlapping never ceases to amaze me. It is so wild to think about. I'm so happy to hear, Christina, that you agree with me that there are no coincidences. Yes, of course. I love this, Theo. And Theo says that they listen to Sometimes It Snows in April because that was the date it was recorded, as well as Prince's transition. But according to LTK, Prince is forever. Prince is with us. That's for sure. All right, you have to respect this. It is unreal. Yes, and Tal Sophie says Prince fandom should be measured by your first legit reaction to the opening stanzas of Around the Realm of the Day and Parade. Yes. I love this comment, Christina, and I think it's really important. I mean, obviously there's, Prince Vault, and Prince Vault has all the dates. And, the people behind Prince Vault helped Duane with the book. But like, it's something about having it in narrative form. And also, I think okay, I'm about to get a little nerdy here. So I'm going to keep this very, very short because I know, so when you read, and I love reading, I'm a bibliophile. I'm used to reading left to right, turning of the pages. And it's kind of weird, like when we first got, our digital devices and you're reading a book and you kind of have to, you scroll down. And that's the reason why I like getting like a Kindle or whatever to sort of mimic the book so I can go left to right. But it's something about reading dates like vertical that's a little different from reading them left to right. So for me personally, the dates stick more with me, reading them in Duane's book as opposed to, let's say, going to Prince Vault and like scrolling down vertically. But that's just me. And I am. Thank you, Kim. Yes, for sure. Okay, I'm gonna stop that. All right. So I forgot to show this last week, but I thought this was really great invitation. On Friday, April 19th, Warner Brothers Records cordially invites you to attend a special listening party to preview the new album by Prince and the Revolution. And this was held at First Avenue and RSVP to Anita. So I'm curious, is someone in the chat who actually went to this like party at First Avenue? Because it would be really, really great. Yes, LTK, I am also very much a sucker for a design timeline or infogram. If infographic. Yes. Okay. Let me make that bigger so you can see it. Yes, Carol. Yes, yes. Say this. Duane did an amazing thing when he went into Sunset Studio to get the day by day for his first book. And from there on, his vision for these books is just amazing. It really, really is. And we are truly grateful for Duane and his writing and his books and his commitment to the series. And yes, Vanessa, I wonder where Anita is now. And I wonder if Anita is actually affiliated with PRN Productions or if Anita is affiliated with First Avenue. That's what I want. Yes, Tanja. Thank you. I'm so glad that you understand. I was like, maybe I'm just talking to myself. But Tanja also says, I can't read digitally. I don't retain the content. And also, like, you can't feel the pages. And I have a Remarkable, so I can import PDFs and use my digital pen to write on like PDFs and stuff. But it's just not the same as the texture of the pages and all of that. And hearing the little, the little sound of your writing utensil. Okay. All right. Here we go. Sunday, April 21st, 1985. Sometimes it snows in April. That's where we're going to be going to read our first thing. So everybody get your books out. And we're going to get this party started. So let me go back to here. Okay. So Sunday, April 21st, 1985. Sometimes it snows in April. Tracking and overdubs. Parade album. First assembly. Sunset Sound. Studio 3. 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. Booked. Locked out. Producer Prince. Artist Prince. Engineers Peggy Mack Leonard and Susan Rogers. Assistant engineer Coke Johnson. This is a quote from Wendy Melvoin. Sometimes it snows in April was written on the spot and recorded in a couple of hours. A beautiful moment hanging out for a while, recording at Sunset Sound. So I'm going to skip a couple of the sentences from the first paragraph. And I am going to start with the second paragraph that starts with Lisa talking. It was a quiet night. And I remember playing the chords Lisa detailed in 2017. And when I played those, Prince would always laugh and offer to pay me more money. He'd pretend to reach into his pocket and bring out some dollars. I remember hitting notes and he turned around and gave me the money sign. That always meant he liked it. And it's just so bizarre to me what the song means to us now. It was April 21st when we wrote it. He died on the same date, and we were writing about a pretend death for a movie soundtrack. I'm still processing the whole thing. So that is definitely like an additional thing to think about in context of Sometimes It Snows in April is the context of the film and the death in the film of Christopher, Prince's character. All right, that's the thing about our relationships that I think we helped him explore more is that when we were together, his balance change reflected Wendy. Although most of the song was written in the studio, its origin dates back to a number Prince had written before he signed with Warner Brothers. The title and chorus remained the same, but the bulk of the song was newly created so it fit into the movie, as Wendy recalls. He had the song idea, but he looked at me and Lisa and was like, "What you got? What can you do on it? Let's do something, just the three of us." And so we came up with the riff and started playing it. It came very fast. With Lisa isolated in the studio playing piano and Prince and Wendy sitting in front of the console, Prince ran them through the number quickly and started recording almost immediately while they were still working on the details of the song. As a matter of fact, reveals Wendy, it came so fast that I was like, "Prince, I don't like my vocal on that. Can I do it again?" He goes, "No, it's fine." And my singing was out of tune. Sometimes It Snows in April was really the pinnacle of our relationship together with Prince, observed Lisa. The three of us had kind of a love affair, and when we wrote the song, it was just the three of us sitting together in a room. I really loved it, and I had hoped we would follow that trail further, like make a whole record like that or something, but that didn't happen. At some point late in the session, Prince quickly assembled the first pass for his probably as yet untitled Parade album, which included Wendy's Parade, which would become Christopher Tracy's Parade, New Position, I Wonder You, Under the Cherry Moon, Others Here With Us, Sometimes It Snows in April, Old Friends for Sale, and Life Can Be So Nice. Now, we talked about this last week. I don't see how Others Here With Us would have fit on Parade. I don't even see Others Here With Us as a B-side. I don't know why. It feels to me more like a song for a crystal ball, not Parade. But I would have loved if Old Friends for Sale would have come out on Parade originally, especially that particular version, as opposed to the one on the vault. The fact that in less than a week, Prince recorded and assembled a complete album worth of music is astounding. All right, I got somebody to join me. Here we go. Welcome, Ricky.
What's happening? You know I wasn't gonna leave you hanging.
All right, appreciate you. So let me get finished with this chapter.
Sure, do your thing. And while you're reading, I hope everyone hit the like button so we can get those likes up.
Thank you, Ricky. Yeah, let's get those lights up. I really appreciate you. All right, so we're on page 101, but I can't. You have the hardback, so we're on.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, we have April 20. We're on April 21st.
Okay.
The snows in April. Many of the songs. Oh, hold on. The actual first compilation of the album would take place in early May. Of the songs in the collection, 6 ended up on the final version of the album, and Old Friends for Sale was eventually reworked, new lyrics, and released. The remaining track, Others Here With Us, remains unreleased. And let's see. I'm going to mute you. I'll mute you because I can.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Many of the songs were adjusted on the way to the album release with overdubs and orchestral elements. But today's session contained the heart of Prince's work on the album, and it never changed, reflects Peggy Mack. The only song that was mine that remained unchanged from the original sessions was Sometimes It Snows in April, and the rest were changed. By 10 p.m., the 7-hour session was over. Status: Sometimes It Snows in April, 6 minutes and 50 seconds. Was released on Parade in March 1986. Claire Fisher recorded the orchestration on July 27, 1985, but his arrangement did not appear on the soundtrack, although 2 minutes and 20 seconds can be heard near the end of Under the Cherry Moon. On March 29, 2004, during his musicology tour, Prince played Sometimes It Snows in April and dedicated it to Lisa's brother, David, who'd recently passed away. So,
you know what? One of these days, we're going to get the real Under the Cherry Moon soundtrack, complete with everything.
Yes, that would be nice. It would be so nice. It would be so, okay, I don't want to start this, but I'm going to do it anyway. It would be nice to get a Parade Deluxe. And it would
You know what?
To get the Under the Cherry Moon film in color, even though supposedly it's not in color, but I can still have hope.
You know what? It's time for my, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And also the soundtrack of the Under the Cherry, like the true soundtrack, because there's like a lot of incidental music in the film that you don't get on the album. Go ahead, Ricky.
No, it's time for my weekly Dear Estate moment. Dear Estates. Come on, cue the okay, look, y'all cue the music for me. Dear Estates, on behalf of the Prince fans, we would at least love a full complete Parade soundtrack with the underscore, you know, like the orchestrations and everything and all that wonderful stuff.
Yeah,
that would be fantastic. And if you can get us a color copy of Under the Cherry Moon for, say, D'Angelo, that would be great. So we could, you know, I know technology can do it now.
Oh yeah, you can do a Turner Classic Music style, a movie style, when they just recolor film. Now that would be interesting, actually. So if there is truly, because Duane swears there is no color version of Under the Cherry Moon, according to someone he spoke with. But if there is truly no colored version, they can do the Turner Classic Music movies. I don't know why I want to say music. And yes, Carol, that's what I'm talking about. and
You
all
know,
the deleted scenes
yes, I was
too.
just about to say that. Yes, man, we could get an unedited version.
Yeah.
That would be fantastic.
All right. And we just want to say we do it out of love because I have some friends who say, why are you asking for more when you already got a
You know what? Maybe we ought to do a petition. Maybe we should do an online petition and be like, "Hey, dear estates,
Oh my
I
God.
mean, the people have spoken. I mean, seriously. I mean, you know, like who better? I mean, say, I guess, man, than to hear from them than the fans. I mean, you know, I mean, like they can't say that the fans didn't let them know.
Yeah. Well, actually, the fans have been letting them know for. I mean, ever since they started doing the box sets, I think everybody and their mama has been saying parade, parade.
That
So
is true.
I
That
I,
is true.
I think they know. I gotta get like I need a little audio snippet of some money. So
Oh, some
like
ching.
Jay Brown said that they're getting docked because they're late.
Oh man, yeah,
That's right, D. Asking ye shall receive. I do think it's important that even though we've already asked, I mean, this is one thing I still would love to know that I don't know. How much are the box sets selling? Like,
yeah.
what is the optimum number for it? Like, maybe they truly need to be limited edition.
Mm,
And, like maybe like, because obviously things are getting much more expensive to
yeah,
anything to, so
yeah,
like these box sets are expensive to manufacture.
yeah.
They want to make sure that people are going to buy them, but I do think that a parade box set would sell.
You know, yeah, you know, like realistically speaking, I'm sure it's probably not easy to transfer that stuff from analog
Mm-hmm.
into digital and then have somebody clean that up. I'm sure it takes time, so you want it done right.
Mm-hmm.
They may be running into a thing of where there's more material than we may realize.
Mm-hmm.
And then so how do you pick and choose? Well, we're going to keep this, not keep this, going to do this and do that. You
Well,
know, and then, you know, like you've been involved with a SDE, so, you know, getting people to do write-ups, you know, perhaps things like that. You know, I'm sure it's just a process. I'm sure it's not as easy as we think it
oh
probably
no,
is what I'm saying.
it's definitely a process, and it takes like years. I mean, definitely months. Like this is not something they can turn around.
Yeah.
And also because there aren't many record plants anymore that can actually press the records. So there's literally a queue to get, records pressed now
Yeah.
because there are
Yeah.
less places to get that for sure. All right. So we're going to move on from our.
I now so I do have one question to ask you though,
Okay.
because you brought up like old friends for sale, and it was originally listed in the track listing for like Parade, I think you
Well,
said.
yeah, this first configuration. This is
Okay,
just
yeah.
like an early configuration.
Okay, so the first configuration. So
Mhm.
what song could you see it
Replace it.
potentially? Yeah.
Well, if so when the record came out, if you take Under the Cherry Moon out of the picture
Mm-hmm.
and you look at Parade as just an album and not as a soundtrack,
Mm-hmm.
I think okay, actually, okay, I'm gonna get crucified for this. But
Uh-oh.
you asked the question,
Yeah.
but I've said this before, so it's not anything new if you've been listening. And I think Seeley's with me on this. I could be wrong. Kiss always stood out to me as it did not belong on the record. Even though it was a huge hit, and I know people love Kiss, it just like it doesn't for me. Again, this is only my personal opinion. It stops the flow of Parade as a record for me. I could have seen Kiss as like a B-side or Kiss on a different project. So I probably would have replaced Kiss with that. But I know that is blasphemous for some people. But again, if you think of albums, not singles, but albums. And if you listen to Parade as an album, for me, like Kiss really stands out.
It
Uh,
does. Okay, yeah. I can see that. I never liked the fact that they cut out the guitar part at the end and it just goes straight into say another lover. I always kind of was bothered by that. I still
mhm.
am bothered by that because I always like the guitar part at the end. But I can see that. I think if you probably take that out and put Old Friends for Sale in, it does change it does kind of keep with the flow of
Yeah,
what was going on with it. Okay.
yeah, that's just me. Oh, the Paisley Park tea I actually got from Paisley Park, like during one of the celebrations. And I have another one too. It's I almost wore that one instead of this, but I wore this one because we were talking about Around the World in a Day, and this is most closely color to Around the World in a Day. But the other one I have is like a, what do you call that? Like a salmon color. So it's not pink. It's like in between pink and magenta with orange. Paisley Park, which is really cool in my personal opinion. Um, all right. So we want to move on now, and we are going to read about the release of Around the World in a Day. Oh, I'm trying to get used to my new setup. So, Ricky, if you don't mind reading about Monday, April 22nd, and read the Prince quote.
Sure. Around the World in a Day is a funky album. Around the World in a Day is released. You only get to make a first impression once. The majority of Prince fans were new Prince fans, and many of them only recognized songs from Purple Rain and perhaps 1999, where he led them in what he revealed indicated that he was less concerned with making new fans and more committed to showcasing his artistry and seeing if he could bring some of them along. Alan Lees explained Prince's mindset at the time: get another record out, show another side. While I've got all those people paying attention to me, the press is following me around when I go to the hairstylist. I can't go across the streets without a mob scene. Like, it was unbelievable, that tour. And it was just part of him that said, while I had this enormous impact on people, I should kind of try to do something weird with it. Let's see how far I could go. This was the record that would really show whether or not he was going to be a legacy artist, observed Matt Fink. The sales weren't huge compared to Purple Rain, but he was regrouping to establish his legacy and not just a guy who made hit records, but an artist who would be around for decades. I thought Around the World in a Day was Prince scratching an itch, declared his manager Bob Cavallo. It was wonderful, but it hurt Purple Rain. It was too soon for the marketplace. To make the challenge even more daunting, Prince initially decided not to release any singles from the album so that the project was heard as one statement instead of a series of singles. Keep going.
Yep.
Oh, in many ways, Around the World in a Day Prince was Prince's final album that that expressed his youthful innocence. The bulk of the album was completed before the Purple Rain tour, with several other songs that recorded even before the tidal wave of Purple Rain washed over everything. And the naive charm is obvious once it's recognized that the album was completed before the Purple Rain tour jaded him.
Okay, so we're gonna skip all of that. And we're gonna go all the way to it says the artwork was baffling to some, so it's almost like 5 or 6 paragraphs. It's a lot.
Hold on. Yes, the artwork was baffling to some of those it depicted, including Jill Jones, who felt confused why she was apparently represented as a crying older woman. What he showcased me as was kind of a wake-up call to I'm sorry, to be looking at the old woman who was crying and in the green dress. I was offended. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And he said, "It's because I'm gonna know you forever and we're best friends." And I was like, "But I'm in tears and this is how you see the future." And I thought, "Oh no, that was horrible." The haircut is mine, everything. And he told the painters to paint it. So once you see that, okay, the big question was always why. Although Jones had attended a lot of the Purple Rain shows, she and Prince had grown apart. But Jill remembers that it changed when she was in the hospital. I had surgery, and it was after the tour. He sent me a whole load of kids' toys, and I was like, everybody else sent a ton of flowers. Why do I have candy necklaces? He was a kid on a certain level. It was crazy. He has to be charming, and his charm has always won me over. Keep going.
Yep.
His undeniable charismatic appeal was still working with many, but not all of the critics. Rolling Stone magazine proclaimed that Prince has grown up, and that the release of the Prince album, and that the release was the Prince album you can bring your home to your parents. The New York Times drew favorable comparisons with Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's and their Satanic Majesty request by the Rolling Stones, and proclaimed that it was an instrument and stylistic tour de force, Prince's finest hour for now. But the tide has slightly turned, and some critics were looking for a crack in his royal armor, hoping to get ahead of a growing backlash like the review in New Musical Express, which stated that the album sounded like Prince's musical fusion smack of a dead-end desperation, and pondering has the purple one reached his ceiling. Prince was philosophical about those who wanted to pop his bubble. Not long ago, I talked to George Clinton, the man who knows and has done so much for funk. George told me how much he liked Around the World in a Day. You know how much his words mean than those from some mamma jamma wearing glasses and the alligator shirt sit behind a typewriter. In people's minds, it all boils down to, is Prince getting too big for his britches? I wish people would understand. I always thought I was bad. I wouldn't have got into the business if I didn't think I was bad.
All right. So I thought it was really important to read about Around the World in a Day. And I have a lot of slides for
Alrighty.
this section here. So this was basically the proof of the album cover, like when it went to press. And this, like at the bottom, you see like this little, it shows where it got printed in California, the proof, and who Todd was the stripper. That's what his title is. And the date was February 12th, 1985. And then this is the image of the little boy in the balloon, and the type is by Margot Chase, a very famous graphic designer who has passed away now. She was one of my favorite designers. I have a degree in graphic design, so and this is what the cover looks like. And I have my original here. And my original, I know I bought this from Turtles because I can still see a little bit of the Turtles label that I actually removed. And then this was like a transparent sticker that I just put on directly on my cover. And then this was actually Prince's first gatefold. And I'm a huge fan of gatefolds because I grew up in a funk household where my uncles had all the Ohio Players records. And I thought this is what a record is supposed to be, a gatefold. But what's interesting about Around the World in a Day is that it has this additional tab that I'm sure costs a lot of money, because what they could have done is they could have just printed all of the song titles directly here. But Prince obviously wanted this, like I'm going to show you a lithograph, to kind of stand on its own without all the type. So this was definitely a deluxe cover in terms of getting it made, like the expensive behind this, because you got a tab, and not only do you have a tab, but you also have a gatefold. So it's one of my favorite Prince covers. And in addition to that, we talked about the flap. This is the inside, and you see the rainbows up. You're not seeing what I'm seeing. And so you see the rainbows inside. And these are the labels on the vinyl, which I love. One's Paisley, one's Clouds. And this was a contest where they were giving away these lithographs. And this is what the lithograph looked like. It had like, what do you call it? Like almost like a vellum with Around the World in a Day. And I actually, my husband has one of the lithographs here. Just show me so you can see that we have in our home. So it's one of our prized possessions, the actual lithograph. And so, I mean, the reason why I'm showing that just to show our love for this album, it's real. And these were the instructions that Prince wrote, that in the accompanying playlist, Edgar Krauser did an amazing presentation about the Around the World in a Day album cover that is in the Pop Life 40 playlist on my YouTube channel, but I also put it in What Did Prince Do This Week as well. And yes, I love this, Carol. For sure, the balloon printing looks like Bill Graham's Fillmore posters. For sure, like the type. That's definitely like 60s, 70s psychedelia.
Don't they have a T-shirt of that, like at the estate?
I don't think so. I haven't seen not of with the little boy.
Yeah, like that. I mean, it's not one of the. Okay.
I haven't seen it. At least I haven't seen one.
Well, here's time for another Dear Estate moment.
Yes.
Dear Estate, we would like some Around the World in a Day paraphernalia. You know what I'm saying? A couple of T-shirts.
Yes.
Maybe a wall-size poster. You know.
Yes.
You could really cash in on, say, the moment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the things that I'm very excited about is that they are celebrating Around the World in a Day as well as the family for celebration this year. So I think that's really, really fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
And
good.
Purple Cat Confetti said Electric Fetus sold one in 2019.
Yeah. I mean, I know I had seen one. I just didn't know where I had seen it, but I'd seen one. I got to get one of those.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get a shirt for every album. And so I need one for this one.
Yeah, of course. And let's see. Yes, I love this, Theo. So Theo says, if when we get an Around the World in a Day Super Deluxe, I would absolutely love for a poster with the album artwork to be.
That would be dope.
That would definitely be dope. So I want to just put out another praise to Edgar for his amazing presentation. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely watch it. Again, it's on the YouTube channel, and he breaks down every single one of these points that Prince writes, and he did an amazing job with that presentation. So don't sleep on Edgar's presentation, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Not at all. It was dope.
Yeah.
It was really dope.
Very, yes.
Kudos to you, Edgar. I know you out there listening, brother.
Yes.
I know my Madhouse compadre, my fellow Madhouse inmate.
You know, I don't think that there is an official Around the World in a Day. Like, I mean, in real time, did Prince actually release Around the World in a Day shirt? I don't
think so.
I really don't.
I mean, you know, the shirts I've seen where fans have gotten them made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's why I was, you know, having that Dear Estate moment. Like, hey, you know, like if you guys could, hey, what's up, Raywin? If you guys could, you know, I mean, you know, because, you know, like Theo just said, like, you know, like plenty of people would probably order that poster if it was available, you know, or if they had a shirt with the kid with the balloon on it, or maybe just the characters or just the band members themselves in certain, you know what I'm saying, certain parts of it or whatever, like break it up or have it as one.
Yeah.
I don't know, but, you know, so much that you could do with that.
So much. So I'm going to take you through some of the promotional materials that was released in real time. And I really like this photo because it shows, like, I think this is one of record stores used to have these. I can't even remember what they used to be called. Like they'll have the album cover, and on the backside would be some promotional information. So yeah, I'm sure the flip side of that. What were they called?
Like promotional posters.
No, it was not the promotional poster, but the actual card that was the size of the record. It was like 12 by 12.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't know what they call it. I don't know. I don't know the official name for those, but I
Flats.
know
There we
exactly what
go.
you're talking about.
Yes, that's right. Promo flats. There
Flats. I never would have guessed that one.
Oh, that's definitely what they're called, promo flats. Thank you, Christina. And thank you so much for the time check. Yeah, I mean, I understand the print on demand model. It's just like the quality of the print on demand, like if they will withstand like multiple washings and all of that,
Yeah.
is the key with those. But I'm sure it's getting better and better. This is another promotion for the album in real time. And here's another one out now. And I love it. It has on here, everybody's looking for the ladder at the bottom. And then here was a promotional button because
What? Buttons were big.
buttons were huge. People today don't understand. Buttons were huge. And to be honest, in retrospect, they were really expensive in context of the 80s. They were $1 a pop.
Yeah, they were like $2. Yeah, $1, $2.
$1, $2, depending on the sizes of them. That was really, really expensive.
And your favorites were always hard to find.
Yes.
That's what made them like you couldn't just go. I mean, like stores sold them, but they didn't always have the ones that you wanted.
Yeah, for sure. So I love this from Drea Dances. Drea Dances received their Around Rolling Day poster from when they went to the Prince Immersive Experience in Chicago. Because we got another poster from there as well when we went. That's one of my favorite things post Prince has been that Prince Immersive Experience in Chicago. It was really well done. I was hoping that it would travel around the country. Like I was hoping it was going to come to New York. I was hoping it was going to come to Atlanta and LA, you know, like all the spots. Detroit, you know, like places where people really love Prince, but it hadn't happened. But yeah, that's one of the things you could have gotten there. And yes, I have a big button collection at my mom's house that my mom continues to threaten that she's going to give to the Goodwill if I don't get it out of her house, but she's just kidding. Yes, many of the bands had buttons back then for sure because they were huge.
It was marketing promotion.
Yes.
It's great promotion.
It was. And also you could find your people that way, you know, like, you know, at high school or if you went to a show or if you were record hunting and all of that. And so this was something that was sold on eBay. And so you can see it's like 8 inches by 22, another promotional flat, which is in a different shape, but thought this was interesting color. And this is a Japanese promo, obviously, which is really great to see. And you can see in Japan, I guess it went on sale in May. In May, it says $5.25 at the bottom. And then here is another promotion. And I think that's German. I could be wrong. Please, someone correct me in the chat. And you can see that you got the album, you have the CD, and you have the cassette. So it's nice to see all three there in the same ad because that's what we had back then. And then this is a promotional poster from Ireland, from Warner Brothers Ireland. And it's a little different, but you can still see the balloon boy. And then this is actually something that Mathieu Baton shared. And this is actually one of the promotional albums that was given out with balloons. And you can see where I have it kind of zoomed up that you can see it has like the Around the Rolling Day Margot Chase typography, which is really, really cool. I'm so happy that Mathieu's shared that. And then this was the poster, or I'm sorry, the promotional stand up for the picture disc, which I have. Hold on. But mine, like a lot of other people's, is because of the plastic that is in, is turning a little bit orange, but you can see, actually, yeah, counter display is what I just showed, but this is the original color for whatever reason, the one side didn't turn. So this is the white side and the way it's supposed to look, but this is what's happening, it being in the plastic. A similar thing is happening to my Sheila E from the third record, the deluxe packaging with the symbol. I took one out of the package, the plastic, and one in the plastic, and the one in the plastic, like the cover is like getting really weird. So that's a counter display.
Yeah, years will do that.
Yes, years will do that. Oh, I'm so happy, LTK, that you're enjoying this. I'm so happy that there's another design and marketing nerd here. So I'm sure, I was like, does anyone like really care that I'm showing all this stuff? So thank you for letting me know. Yes, yeah.
I mean, so I wish I had known in real time to grab some of this stuff. I was so happy to get the album that in real time I didn't think to ask the record store for like the flats or like promotional posters or things of that nature. It wasn't until later that I got into that, and I'm sure they would have gladly given it, you know what I'm saying? Because there was so much of it back then, they would have gladly, given it away because they just threw it away. I mean, eventually.
Yeah. Hold on 1 second, Kim. So Kim wants me to show the white side again. So that's what, let me take the thing down so you can actually see it. So that's it. And like, is that going the right way, or are you seeing this right? Like, it's the type right, or do I need
to? No.
Okay, because it's flipped on my view. So
yeah, it's right.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't have any dollars back then either. Purple Cat confetti. I just didn't eat. I was saving my. I had no income coming in. I only had lunch money from high school, so I didn't eat, and I saved up all my money to buy Prince records.
And that's the truth. I can testify to that.
Yes.
That's the truth.
All right. And then, so this was like a UK display that they would have in the record store. And I thought it was really interesting, like this part at the top, which is this kind of guy. And you got like the balloon boy directly on the packaging, because I've always just seen it on the sticker. So I thought that was interesting. Wondered, like, if someone has this, it would be interesting to see one in real life. Now, I thought this was really interesting. This is like a Japanese promo, I think.
Really?
Yeah. And so you can see this is a cassette, and that's like the cover, all the paisleys. And this was like the inside.
Wow. I've never seen that before.
Yeah. So this is, you can see in the bottom left-hand corner, it says not for sale. But yeah, this is, and then this is the spine. So I thought that was really interesting.
So I wonder, man, how many of those were given out, or was it like to DJs or
I don't know,
like record store people? Like, I mean, it says not for sale. Like, how did you get one of those?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it would definitely go to like the record stores or DJs and things of that nature. But I just love this packaging. I see, I'm assuming a lot of you in the chat is going because of this packaging.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty cool, like the paisleys, and that color, it really pops. And this was a promotional keychain that was given out, which is really cool, with the little globe. And then this was actually in New Musical Express, which I thought was really interesting, how Spartan it was, just type, and at the bottom it says everybody's looking for the ladder. This was the Rolling Stone record review.
I did not see that in real time.
Yeah, I'm not going to read it, but if you have time, it's in the slide deck, and you can always go to our website. Let me put it up here, bookclub.polyslide.com. Go all the way to the bottom, and that's where you can find the slide deck every week. And let's see, I'm going to take that banner off. Okay. And I hate this illustration. I remember.
Yeah, I'm about to say that's.
Yeah, I remember seeing this in real time, and even without reading the the review, I was like, this is not going to be a good review. So I don't think I even read it because I was like, how dare you? It's just,
yeah.
yeah. So I love how everybody's scoping out like the Kenny Loggins album.
Vox Humana.
Yes.
Vox Humana.
Yeah, of course, love this LTK. Rolling Stone gonna Rolling Stone. That's right. Yes. Okay. All right. So yes, indeed. The disrespect just pops out. Yeah, it was a lot of promotion for Around the Rolling Day.
A great deal.
A
It
great,
was it
yeah.
was a great deal in real time. Like I remember seeing massive displays in record stores
Mm-hmm.
back then. Like I don't care where you went, it was like a massive display of like Around the World in a Day. And back then they'd have like the display to be like a rack of albums.
Mm-hmm.
Like CDs were just coming out. They'd have a rack of CDs. I mean, like you just see it. It was like a massive. It'd be like the biggest display in like some record stores at times.
Yeah, for sure. All right. And I just want to remind everyone, it wasn't that long ago, even though it feels like ages ago, that we did celebrate Around Rolling Day for the Pop Life 40
Pop
virtual
Life
symposium.
40.
So if you attended, you can still access all the videos via your Zoom events link. And I am slowly getting them up on YouTube for those of you who did not attend, because this is the worst time in academia because it's getting very close to graduation. And this is when life gets very stressful because I'm also teaching seniors. So it's just going to take me a while to get everything up on YouTube, but I will try my best. And obviously, if you haven't listened to the family keynote, you should, because we start off by talking to Susanna about actually sitting for Doug Henders, who was the illustrator of the Around the Rolling Day cover, as well as that illustration in Purple Rain, the eyes, like that's also Doug Henders. So Susanna talks about that photo shoot. And we also talked to Eddie M about recording for Around the Rolling Day, because Eddie M is on 2 tracks, The Ladder and Temptation. So it was great to do that. And then obviously we talked to Duane for our special session of what did Prince do this week. And again, if you haven't seen Edgar's amazing presentation, I'm tripling down on this because it is incredible. You have missed out. So you definitely want to make sure that you check out Edgar's presentation.
Oh yeah, okay. Bravo to you too for bringing all this together and doing this and talking to the family and Eddie M. I know that was a highlights for you. Knowing you for as long as I have, I know that was a big deal for you. So
yes.
Give you your props and pounds and flowers and all that good stuff.
Thank you so much. Big ideas. I'm going to talk about Raspberry Beret, like when those singles come out. So there's definitely some promotional items also for the singles, but I wanted to spread it out. So when we get to that time when the Raspberry Beret 12-inch is released, we'll look at some of that promo material. And let's see. Yes, Around the Rolling Day definitely exemplifies why Prince was great.
I've been playing the album like all week.
Mm-hmm.
It's really short.
Yeah.
Like listening time, like for some reason as a kid, it seems so much longer. Now it's like, wow, like it's over like 30 minutes almost. It feels like, I think maybe 30, 40 minutes. It's like, man, they could have made, but I guess back then 9 songs was considered long on a album, but
yeah,
it's really not that long of an album lengthwise, time-wise.
Oh no, not at all. But I mean, I think it's great because you can. I don't know. I like the short albums. Like the Time records are some of my favorite records, but they're not very long.
Not at all.
They don't have a lot of, like they only have 6 songs on them.
Yeah, not at all. They aren't long at all.
Yeah. So I wanted to highlight a couple of comments. One, LTK, I'm so excited that you're excited for 40, which is happening in September, where we're going to be, 30. I'm thinking about around 3 years of the Gold Experience, as well as Exodus, because Edgar actually is the reason why we're also celebrating Exodus. So that's an Edgar request. So thank you, Edgar. And then the other comment I wanted to highlight was Theo's, because I think it's really important. And the reason why I'm doing this is not for some of us. Well, actually, I'm doing it for me too, because sometimes I just forget, because a lot has happened. 40 years is a long time. And it's like sometimes I am reliving this stuff for the first time in a long time. And so I am doing it for myself. I like to scratch my own itch. But I'm also doing it for new fans who did not experience this in real time. I'm really doing this for you, so you can understand what it was like. So Theo, thank you so much for letting me know that you appreciate this, because I'm really doing this for you and everyone who didn't have the amazing opportunity to actually experience this in real time. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, awesome. So Together Last Saturday plays. It's one of I think it's an amazing song. It's like I went down this, and also Chris Robb played it at his show on Monday, and it was so great hearing it live. I mean, obviously, it's nothing like seeing Michael B, playing the drums on this particular track, as well as the late great John Blackwell. It's one of my favorite songs for the drummers to play. And I forgot. And with Yazara, for those of you who know your female vocalist, was actually singing alongside Chris Robb. So that was really a treat. And I don't know. You got to ask Michael Dean. Michael Dean is not here, but I hope you're okay with me and Ricky. I'm sure Michael will be joining us again next week, but he had to sit this one out. Let's see. Yeah, sexy. I love this. Love Sexy 71.
You know what? I was going to ask you that. I was going to ask you that very question.
Yeah, I really do think that She's Always in My Hair should have been an album track.
It definitely would have. if I asked some friends of mine recently, like, what if he had put She's Always in My Hair on and kept Raspberry Beret as like a B-side, and so we would have got a universe where that would have been the first single, and things, like video and all that. And I think had that happened, we would be looking at this album completely differently.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yes.
I think it's the strongest song from this era. That's just my personal opinion, but yeah, I think had it even been on the album, it would have just been a different thing. Like, we would be talking about it differently now.
Yes. All right. I love it. I'm cracking up. I'm sorry. Yes, Yazara does amazing Prince tributes. I'm cracking up with some of the comments in the chat. So Kim, you're my timekeeper, so I'm trying to shave off some seconds with not saying it long. So that's really all right. So I also just put up Camila's presentation about Around Roller Day, which is really important. I'm going to try to put up Zach's, because I think it's important to watch Camila's with Zach's. They're kind of like a diptych for me before the symposium. And I can hear myself a little bit, Ricky. So
I'm sorry. Yeah, that may be me.
You're playing it.
Oh, there you go.
Yep. Okay. And so now we're gonna move on. Oh my God, timekeeper. We're still at Monday. So I'm going to read a little bit about Monday. So in the paperback, it's 106, April 22nd. And it is Christopher Tracy's Parade, listed as Wendy's Parade, vocal overdubs mix. Hold on 1 second. Let me do this. And then I Wonder You, vocal overdubs mix, Life Can Be So Nice, vocal overdubs mix, Life Can Be So Nice, instrumental mix, Sunset Sound Studio 3, 2 p.m. to 2 a.m., 12 hours straight. Booked, lockout, producer Prince, artist Prince, engineers Peggy Mac, Leonard, and Susan Rogers. And then I'm going to skip Peggy Mac's quote. Today's session consisted of vocal overdubs for some of his recent recordings. Wendy and Lisa were brought in to add their voices to Wendy's Parade, I Wonder You, and possibly a few other tracks from the last few days. They would change as the project took shape, so what they were recording today may not have made it into the final mix, remembers Wendy. The lyrics were all coming and being kind of tweaked at his scripts as his script was being done. And the script is for Under the Cherry Moon. So by the time those 4 songs were started, when we went to do our part, there was no, this is going to be for scene 2 and scene 6, and he'll be playing at us with Kristen Scott Thomas. None of that. After 9.5 hours of vocal overdubs, the tracks were given a rough mix. An instrumental version of Life Can Be So Nice was also supposedly created on this date. Now, I'm assuming Prince was here, but I mean, it doesn't say that he was not. But sometimes he's not.
I'm still flabbergasted that like we're just getting into Around the World in a Day, like literally a day after its release, and he's already like recording something that wouldn't be, like a whole year from then would be out, and we hadn't even digested what he had just put out.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, what's even crazier is that the day before Around the World Day was released, he's already compiled the first iteration of
Play. Yeah, that's wild. Like if you had told me that back in '85, I probably would have lost it. Like, no way. It's like no way.
Oh no. Okay, I'm just now seeing Lee Christian. This is definitely unpopular.
Oh, hey, you know what, Lee Christian? I've asked. You know what? I'll ask you in say the chat. If you had to take one song off and then replace it with Around the World, with She's Always In Say My Hair, what song would you replace off the album with She's Always In My Hair? Lee Christian has already said Tambourine. I say Raspberry Beret. That's just me.
I say Raspberry Beret.
Yeah.
I'm curious what the chat has to say.
Yeah, I'm curious too.
Okay, we'll wait for that because we're going to move on to the next date, which is April 23rd. So, Ricky, if you can read that one.
Sure. Christopher Tracy's Parade, listed as Wendy's Parade, overdubs, Evolves a Dog. Is that how y'all say it? Evolves a Dog.
That's how I say it.
Okay, overdubs mix, New Position, Sunset Sound Studio 3, 10:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. A short day in Prince studio time. Producer Prince, artist Prince, and engineers Peggy McLeonard and Susan Rogers. Read the quote or skip that. Okay. It says additional work was done on Wendy's Parade, Evolves a Dog, and New Position during this session, but it is likely that Prince left Wendy and Lisa in charge and did not attend. During the overdubs for Evolves a Dog, it is probable that they helped the still instrumental song take shape. The track itself is a playful reggae type of groove on steel drums that contains a backwards guitar and drums, Yamaha DX7 keyboard elements, and tambourine. It says additional work was done on New Position and Wendy's Parade as well. Status, a nearly 8-minute version of Evolves a Dog was edited down to 3 minutes, but neither were released during Prince's lifetime. Wendy and Lisa would eventually add strings to another edit of the song, 2 minutes 45 seconds, on July 2nd, 1985. That also remains unreleased.
All right. So I ran out of time today, so I got to add some more songs to the company playlist, and Evolves a Dog will definitely be one that I will add. All right. So here we go, Ricky. Chris P says Tambourine.
Mm-hmm.
And Lee Christian is like no hits. That would not have gone well if you remove Raspberry Beret.
She's Always in My Hair would have been the hit.
Yeah, I think so. That's me personally. Ray wanted to say, did you see the music video Prince and Morris saying latest? Yes, of course. Latest fashion from Graffiti Bridge. Sakia says Tambourine goes hard. I'm with Sakia. I love Tambourine. And it's actually, you know how Prince loved to misspell words? Like he actually spells it without the U, just FYI, because Prince would do that often. Ooh, Dorothy says Temptation, Ricky. How you feel about that?
Well, given how you and C. Lee feel about it.
Well, I'm talking about in real time.
Okay. In real time.
People don't listen to what I say. I said how old was I? As a 14-year-old.
Yeah, 14. I don't know, man. I think Temptation is like a great album closer.
Yeah, I do now. That's I was trying to make, but no.
Yeah, I always liked that song for some reason. I always thought it was pretty dope. Maybe
I thought
maybe it was the guitar workout. I
Yeah.
probably was like feeling that.
Also, I didn't like the whole talking stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because I didn't like it in the tour. So I think it also reminded me of that. And then Baby Love 14 says, I agree, Raspberry Beret. And Devoid of Funk says, She's Always in My Hair saves one of those A quality B-sides for me. So keep it as a B-side. What do you think, Ricky?
Well, yeah. I mean, it is now. So, I mean, that's what it is. It is an A quality B-side for sure.
Yes. So D's with me. I would definitely. So I'm with you, D. It is definitely a mood booster. Like if I'm down and I need to go up, that's the song I listen to. Tambourine. Let's see. No, I get you, Lee Christian. So Lee Christian is saying, I like Tambourine. I'm just saying sequencing wise, but I believe the FCAT. Well, I don't know. What does FCAT stand for? It is on there to take away.
The fact.
Oh, the fact it is on there is to take away from rock and keep it diverse with a funky track, but not Prince's typically known funk by then. Typically known.
Oh, I know what he's saying. He's saying like it's like a funky track, but not like the traditional like Minneapolis sound type funk track. It is.
Okay. You don't want to get me started on the Minneapolis sound. I'm not gonna go there.
Sorry. I'm trying to help you out, Lee Chris. I'm trying to help you out, brother.
Okay, let's see. And Tao Sophie said, no, I need my tambourine. That drumming is epic. I'm with you, Tao Sophie. And then Sakia says, Fisher strings in question to say a little bit more. Let's see. And then if it was the extended version from the 12-inch, it could close it well. You mean are you talking about Raspberry Beret, Lee Christian?
She's Always in My Hair.
She's Always in My Hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sure that She's Always in My Hair. I'm so happy you're here, Ricky.
No problem.
It's been a long week. It's like I said, like in higher ed right now, just because we only have one more week of classes, and then it's like graduation and stuff. It's been really great. All right, so tambourine is fire, and okay, Dorothy says, I think She's Always in My Hair would gel more with the album. Yes, we love Devoid of Funk's last name. And Tanja is Temptation was one of my favorites, if not my favorite. Oh, wow. Teosophy says, I literally learned to play drums from tambourine.
Okay.
And the Christian says, She's Always in My Hair is that mood booster in that spot. For me, it's not. Like, for me, tambourine is much different in energy than She's Always in My Hair. To be honest, She's Always in My Hair depresses me personally. A little. It brings me down. Tambourine brings me up. She's Always in My Hair brings me down. That's just me. Let's see. Yeah, and so thank you, Drea. So I'm with you. D'Angelo didn't care for Temptation in real time, but now I like it. I guess I'd say Raspberry Beret. It would be the classic B-side. And yes, and El Michelle says, let's correct that, please. Ain't no reggae aspect to new. Still can flavor all over that track with curry on top. And if you tuned in last week, Prince got the steel drum from Susan Moonsey as a gift, and Susan Moonsey brought it from Trinidad because Moonsey is Trinidadian. So there you go. So thank you, El Michelle. All right, and let's see. Okay, Lee Christian is saying the 12-inch of Temptation to finish it. Hair is that classic Prince sound, though. Wendy, let's see. Wendy adding strings, reading from the book, answer not needed, just thinking out loud. Okay, got it. Awesome. All right, so now we're going to move on to we're going to move on to. Oh, before we move on, I was getting ahead of my britches. So on April 23rd, Prince and Wally went to Madonna's Like a Virgin tour at the Bill Graham Civic Center in San Francisco. So here's a picture from that. They were in the front row. And now we're going to move on to, yes, TP. I also love that as well. Let's see. Yeah. So LTK makes a really good point. The lyrics to She's Always in My Hair, kind of bummer. If you listen to him from a certain perspective, I can do what I want and she'll love me anyway. And Karan is saying take off Raspberry and replace with She's Always in My Hair. Hey, Reggie B, welcome. Yes, thank you so much for joining us live. I really do appreciate it. Yes, Lee Christian, welcome to the dawn, Reggie. Okay, now we're going to move on and we're going to read April 24th, which is a Wednesday. Yes, Raywin, we all love the American music video. It's one of my favorite videos, if not my favorite video of Prince of all time. I love that moment when I saw him playing drums for the first time ever live. All right, so we are going to read again April 24th. And here we go. Christopher Tracy's Parade, listed as Wendy's Parade, Overdubs Mix, Under Cherry Moon, Overdubs Mix, Highly Rock, Tracking Overdubs Mix, Sunset Sound, Studio 3, 11 a.m. to 4:30 a.m. booked, locked. Now, that means they were in the studio for 15 and a half hours.
That's a long time.
Producer Prince, artist Prince and Sheila E. Engineers Peggy Mack, Leonard, and Susan Rogers. Assistant engineer Mike Kloster. Okay. With the success of the Purple Rain tour, Sheila E. was now in the limelight, and she was hired to act in Crush Groove, a film directed by Michael Schultz, based on the early days of Def Jam recordings and then up-and-coming record producer Russell Simmons. Sheila plays a fictionalized version of herself as the female love interest for the main character. Highly Rock came about for the Crush Groove soundtrack, and she needed a track, recalls her sax player Eddie M. Minifield, and that was kind of an overnight track. Prince and Sheila worked on the song together, with Sheila playing drums and Prince covering bass and guitars. Prince recorded the God vocals while playing a cymbal to keep the beat, and eventually Sheila replaced his voice with hers, mimicking almost all of his playful, almost over-the-top lead. Now, one of my favorite things ever is originals, and on originals, you can hear Prince's version of Highly Rock, and I have it in the accompanying playlist. It's really great hearing him sing the song. The track was likely inspired by the Flintstones television show, which changed the name of Hollywood to Highly Rock, the prehistoric home of Stoney Curtis and Cary Grant, although there is also an obvious influence from the Rock Rock Planet Rock chorus on 1982's Planet Rock by Africa Bambaataa and the Soul Sonic Voice. Now, Ricky, did you watch the Flintstones?
Yes, I do remember that, Stoney Curtis and Cary Grant.
That's it.
Oh, man.
I love it. I think Prince would do that.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, yeah, given like, the Flintstones was big when he was a kid, because it was reruns like when we were kids. So, it was mainstream TV, say when he was a kid. So I can kind of see it.
I didn't think about that, Ricky. That is a really good point. That it was reruns when we were watching it. And it was, he saw the first iteration of everything that we saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's see. There's been a lot of comments. Let's address some of these before I go back to reading. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. I think people might have Raspberry Beret fatigue too, though. I don't even like Kiss on Parade that much. I could do without it on the album floor. I don't know. So, I mean, I know some people do, but like... That's the reason why I try to always put my comments about things in context. Okay, like when it comes to the song Purple Rain, I never liked the song Purple Rain in real time and now. The only thing I like about Purple Rain is the string coda at the end. Whenever I listen to Purple Rain, I skip it to where the strings start, and I think it's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. But I never liked Purple Rain in real time.
You
So,
know,
go ahead.
no. Finish your thought. Finish your thought.
And so, and another thing too is just like Kiss has always stood out for me on that record from day one, even as like how the like 15-year-old, like it always stood out. It's like, why is this on this record? So that's another thing. And Raspberry Beret, I always loved the 12-inch of Raspberry Beret.
Mm.
I never liked the album version, and that would often be the case with other singles as well. You know, for instance, like I never liked the song Little Red Corvette, but I love the dance mix.
Yeah, the dance mix is fire.
The
You
dance mix
know,
is fire.
I've always, now knowing what I guess what I didn't know then, because I always thought that the B-side songs were written after the album had already been done, not realizing now that those songs were already done. So I'm still kind of just thinking, like, if you're sitting in the studio and say you're listening to like She's Always in My Hair and then Raspberry Beret, and then you're trying to figure out, well, I'm going to keep this one on the album, but I'm going to put this one, save this one. I'm trying to figure out, like, you know, like, how'd you go to save that? Or like with Lover, Money, and Kiss, like you got a banger like Lover, Money, which totally fits the movie. You know, it plays into the movie, it fits in well with the scene, and you're like, I'm going to make this song Kiss the lead single and make this the B-side. Same thing with, like, you know, like Raspberry Beret, like She's Always in My Hair. Like, you know, you feel like, well, I'm going to make this pop song you know, the initial single and save this for just a B-side. Not even make the album, just save it for a B-side. But then, you know, like, what do I know? You know, maybe that's why I'm in the position I am, and he's where he was, because he can make those, you know, like make those decisions and kind of say, okay, we're going to go with this here, you know. But I just think, you know, I just wonder if somebody was around there saying like, nah, man, like this is the stronger song, you should do this one. You know, I'm sure somebody had to be around to say that, but you know, he you know, like when Willie went with, and man, it worked for him. But I just wonder about those many decisions. Like, wow, like, how did you come to decide choosing Kiss and then Raspberry Beret when you had two strong B-sides on like both of those?
Yeah, I think it's I remember having a conversation with myself as a kid, meaning in my teens, and I would say any song that I love, nobody liked. Like I love Tambourine. I was living for Tambourine. And then, you know, obviously Raspberry Beret was the hit. So I knew back then that I could never be like the person making the decisions on the singles, because the songs that I like never became singles, or they were never talked about. And the songs that I did not like were usually the hit singles, and they became really popular. So you have to understand, I'm not really into pop. Pop is not my lane. And so like I always gravitated towards funk and rock, and the drum and the bass in particular. So that's just me. I'm being honest. Okay, so let's get back to our reading. And okay. And so after the basic jam was recorded, we're talking about Holly Rock. Oh, before I do that, there were a couple of comments that I wanted to highlight, actually. Reggie B talked about, you'd be surprised how fast that time flies if you're hyper creative. Oh, I know. It's called the flow. I can get the flow. It's like any creative knows about the flow for sure. But it's easier to do when you're younger and you don't have a lot of commitments like work and kids and all of that. And then I love this comment from Christina about no wonder Peggy was getting tired at this point, because there are a lot of back-to-back sessions like that. Yes, Cynic 22, thank you for being here. Flow State, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you know, for a technical okay, music nerdy approach. They're doing overdubs. So like the basic tracks were already done. So they're basically just going in, change this here, change that there. Let's change this. Let's say this here, say this there, type deal.
Yeah. And yeah, I love this comment. Let's see. Good point to Lee Christian. The long versions keep tracks alive. Single versions don't cut it. Like for me, it's always about the longest version of any Prince song. Like I want if the song was an hour, I want to hear the whole hour. That's just me. And let's see, there was something else that I wanted to. Oh, TP said, I think the decision comes from seeing the songs as a concept and not singles. I think he just made decisions based on what best fit his concept for the album. So, yep, that's a good point.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yes. I think this is a really good point, TP, which is why he formatted Love Sexy the way he did. He didn't want people to piecemeal his albums. Yes, definitely 12-inch Red Corvette is fire, 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 fire. All right, okay. Back to Highly Rock. After the basic jam was recorded, they overdubbed bongos, timbales, keyboards, and a few other elements. Prince's sped up guitar serves as a musical callback to Toy Box and Feline. Although Sheila's lead vocals had likely not been recorded, it is probable that some of the background vocals were tracked during the session. Earlier in the session, 8.5 hours were spent recording a variety of overdubs, including horns with John Leontine, Stephen Madow, if I'm saying that correctly, and Carlton Smith on Wendy's Parade, and adding mandolin and strings with Novi Navag, Susie Katayama, David Coleman, Richard Pheeves, and Annette C. Atkinson on Under the Cherry Moon. These overdubs were likely overseen by Lisa and Wendy. Status, Highly Rock was released as a 12-inch extended version and edited 3 minutes and 58 seconds for release as a 7-inch single. A different edit, 4 minutes and 56 seconds, was included on the Crush Groove soundtrack, which was released on September 3rd, 1985. The song did not have any chart impact in the United States, but was a moderate hit in Europe, hitting number 8 in the Netherlands. Prince's original version of the track was included on the posthumous Originals album in 2019. The lyric about being better than a wicked witch came from Feline and would later show up on Dead on It. The horn overdubs from the session on Wendy's Parade appear to have been omitted and replaced by Claire Fisher's arrangement when the song was ultimately released as Christopher Tracy's Parade. So it would be interesting to hear these horn overdubs then for Wendy's Parade. The strings on Under the Cherry Moon were also not included in the final mix, although the mandolin was kept. All right. Okay. So we're going to move on, Ricky, if you don't mind reading Thursday, April 25th.
Sure. Highly Rock overdub mix edit copy. America 12-inch single version mix. Sunset Sound Studio 3, 2 p.m. to 12 a.m. Booked, locked out. It says producer Prince, artist Sheila E., engineer Peggy Mac Leonard. Skip the quote?
Yes.
All right. After beginning this session and creating a mix for the 12-inch America, Prince shifted his focus back to finishing yesterday's song, Highly Rock. At 6 p.m., additional work took place with Eddie M. playing sax and Sheila C. recording her vocals, including a mention of her toy box in the lyrics. It is unclear if that was still the title of her album by this point, but regardless, it was a reference they seemed to enjoy repeating. Although Sheila's guitarist Steph Burns is mentioned by name, it is unclear if he participated on the song. Prince had also added the sound of a kiss smack on the track, which may have influenced the next track he'd record. 6 C60 tapes were made of the mixes from this session, and by midnight it was over. It's interesting. Crush Groove is like considered one of the premier like hip hop movies, of the time. And then you got 2 very strong songs from like the Minneapolis era. You got Tender Love by Jam and Lewis, and then you got Highly Rock from Crush, from Prince and Sheila. That says a lot to just how strong, you know, how much influence of the time period that when they had at that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm looking for, first of all, I love when Ricky reads, so you're absolutely right, Lee Christian. Oh my God. And then Critical Mass wants to know, if you haven't been following this for a very long time, it's really very simple. I don't really like slow dirge. It's almost like a dirge to me. So I really like very upbeat songs. And I enter songs from the music first and not through the lyrics. And so that's the reason why. But like I said, I really love the string coda at the end because I love orchestration. Yes, Blay Brown, a respected vision, but thankful for the German, for that German in-text Love Sexy CD, for sure. All right, let's see. Next, we're going to read Saturday, because Duane doesn't have anything about Friday in the book, but we got Saturday, April 27, 1985, and I didn't have time to look at my newspapers, see if anything happened on Friday, so I had to go back and see if anything did. But Saturday, April 27, 1985, KISS listed as, oh, before we do that, I wanted to ask, actually you, Ricky, as well as everybody in the chat, yes, and like I said, Temptation was not my thing as a 14-year-old. I love Temptation now because I'm 54. So I mean, I love Temptation now, but again, I'm trying to give context to people, and also talk about this as it relates in real time, since we're focusing on 1985. So as a 14-year-old, I mean, I didn't really understand the blues.
Yeah.
I didn't understand the blues at 14.
Yeah, rightfully so.
Yeah,
that's,
I understand the blues now, so I love Temptation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that. And then Ray One, Condition of the Heart is an amazing song. It's one of my favorites. That was last week, or actually 2 weeks ago. We're going in real time, Cynic. So if you go all the way back to we'll do the scrub all the way back. This is the reason why we're going week to week. So the Miami show was 2 weeks ago. So we actually talked about that 2 weeks ago. So this is where we are in the timeline. So we started off with Sunday, April 21st, because that's the reason why, like I keep saying that we're going week to week. And if you understand that, you also know where to read in relation to 1985, because obviously the same dates don't end up on the same day depending on what year you're in. So we're in 2025, so the dates don't align. So that's the reason why we say week to week and we go from Sunday to Saturday. All right. Okay. That's funny, Lee Christian. Yes. All right. So but it's all recorded, so like don't be sad. You could go back and watch the recording that we did a couple of weeks ago because it's online. Okay, so let me start our reading, and I got so much stuff going on. Hold on one second. Let me go back to the slide I was on, so you don't have to see all of that forward winding again. And all right, okay, here we go. Saturday, April 27th, 1985, KISS, listed as Your Eyes, Tracking on Overdubs. I think I already read this, but I'll reread it again. Sunset Sound Studio 2 p.m. to 4 a.m. So we're talking about 14 hours, booked, locked out. Producer Prince, artist Prince, engineer David Z. Rifkin, assistant engineer Coke Johnson. This is a Prince quote, and I know that without turning the page because it is in bold. Thank you, Duane, for bolding Prince's quotes. When doves cry and kiss, you go to a higher plane of creativity with that. They don't sound like anything else. They aren't conscious efforts. You just have to get to them. You just have to get them out. They're gifts. Terrence Trent D'Arby, also known as TTD, also known as Sanaya Maitreya, like I can't pronounce his new name, asked me where KISS came from, and I have no idea. Nothing in it makes sense. Nothing. Exclamation point. The hi-hat doesn't make sense. Prince. And this is Prince's own language about the song Kiss. Before I read, there's actually a brand new video of, I call him TTD, and I know I shouldn't, but he's talking about how, because like in class, the class I'm teaching, last week we just talked about Princeton saying how he told Warner Brothers not to make him black, and actually TTD said the same thing to his record company.
He sure did. Yeah.
I
When
think,
he first came out. Yeah.
yeah. So I thought it was really interesting. The because obviously TTD looked up to Prince, and but this was still in, I can't remember what year Wishing Well came out.
88.
88, yeah. So Prince hadn't gone through, his journey and fight with Warner Brothers yet, but obviously either he had conversations with Prince already, or just kind of, I don't know. It was just really interesting.
Yeah, I think it was Prince was so popular at that time, like you kind of like those, like those little bio books were being written, like the one like you had, and so
yeah,
and so they would have those little tidbits in there with things like him saying, like, I don't make me black and things like that, and so when Terrence Trent D'Arby came out, because when you first see him, if I think his first single was "If You Let Me State," it's like a James Brown review. It's like you're looking at, you're like, don't make you black, brother. You doing a good job of that on your own. Like but he made.
I understand its point. I mean,
because
that's one of the things that the students are kind of struggling to understand. It wasn't that Prince didn't want to be black, and I kept saying when he says that, he means he doesn't want to be in the black genre. Like
solely. Yeah.
Yes, and that's like something that's really difficult for some people to understand, because they're taking it literally.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be taken literally. And yes, Mira, so I'm happy that I am you. Yes, TTD, Terrence Trent D'Arby, and Sananda Maitreya are the same person. And I also thought that was interesting too, because in this little clip that just came out last week, he also changed his name for very similar reasons, because the record company told him that they owned his name.
Yeah, sure did. Yeah.
And so that was one of the reasons why he changed his name, just like Prince changed his name. So there's definitely a lot of parallel there. So I'll put that clip in the accompanying playlist.
Yeah, man, Prince was trying to school people. Like, it's always stories of him trying to pull people's coattails and tell them, like, hey, like, check your stuff out.
Yes. And so Lee Christian said, yeah, TTD is a proper soul thing until the second album, when he goes very rock. And my favorite TTD record is actually Vibrator. That's one of my favorite records of all time.
Is that the one he did with Dallas Austin?
I don't think so, but I
think he has the blonde hair, right? He has the blonde hair with the wings. Yeah, I think Dallas Austin worked on either that or Supermodel Sandwich. Is Supermodel Sandwich on that?
Yeah, Supermodel is on that one. Huh? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think Dallas Austin did do some work with him on that. Don't quote me on it, but yeah, I think he did.
Somebody do some Googling and see if that is correct. If Dallas Austin is, yes, Vibrator is excellent. And we're talking about Terrence Trent D'Arby's, because there is a Prince Vibrator song. Yes, to be honest, all of his albums are great.
Symphony or Damn, yeah,
it was also really great. And TP is saying maybe Dallas worked on the Supermodel remix.
That could be possible. That sounds about that. That sounds what Dallas Austin kind of Dallas Austin-ish.
Yes, but like this is the point. Anna B is making the point. He wanted to musically connect with everyone and not be pigeonholed.
Yeah, because they would do that a lot back then.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It was like, some people, and you saw a lot of artists, especially post Thriller, people not wanting to be pigeonholed into just one particular area. But it was primarily artists of color that didn't want to be pigeonholed, because the labels and the industry would do that, unfortunately.
So this is really interesting. I don't know if you're talking about me, but I'm definitely not mixed. I am Both of my parents are Black. So, yes. But
Wait a minute. Okay, put that back up. I missed it.
yeah, I don't know if, I guess you're talking about me, but I'm definitely not mixed. I am Black. Both of my parents are Black. Let's see.
Hey, I'm Native American and African American and and some other stuff.
Yes, I mean we could go down the line too. Yes, we could do that for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so Lee Christian is saying that Dallas Austin is on the wild card for sure.
Okay, the wild card album. Yeah. I lost track of TTD. I know that's not his name. I'm sorry, but like after the what's the one you just said? The album, Vibrator album. Yeah, because I think I have the first three, and then I think Vibrator was the third one, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, there's neither fish nor fowl.
That's the second
one. Yeah.
I know I got the first two, and then I know I have the Vibrator album. I don't know where they fall in terms of what's second, third, or fourth, but I know I got those three.
Yeah.
I know I got those three.
So the first one was Introducing the Heartline, according to TTD, which was 87. And then Neither Fish nor Flesh. I always say fish nor fowl, but it's neither fish nor flesh.
Yeah.
And the rest of the track is, the rest of the title is A Soundtrack of Love, Faith, Hope, and Destruction. That's 89. And then the third one is Symphony or Damn, which is 93. And then the fourth one is Vibrator.
Okay, so I'm missing two. Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, all right.
So like for me, since we're talking about Around Rolling today, Neither Fish Nor Flesh to me is TTD's Around the Rolling a Day because it's totally different.
Oh yes, it is a
totally different.
It is a total left turn from the hard line.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He had really, and I think he did that on purpose too. Like I remember seeing some interviews about that where he kind of was.
Yeah.
He kind of did that. I do remember that.
Okay. Yep. So let's read about Prince because we got our time check from Kim. Prince continued to oversee the work in Studio 2 and Studio 3, bouncing back and forth when necessary. We were in the studios next to each other, checking each other's progress, recalled engineer Susan Rogers. And at some point, they said that they needed a song. Prince stopped what he was doing. I remember this very clearly. He had a little boombox, a little pale green one, which he had to record ideas on. And he took it and an acoustic guitar to the next room, put it down, put it in a cassette, and press record. On the acoustic guitar, he then played Kiss. It took a few minutes to get the lyrics, and he then took out the cassette and said, "Here, finish this off." Prince gave us a straight version with just one verse, an acoustic guitar and voice, no rhythm, explained David Z. The song sounded like a folk song that Stephen Stills might have done. I didn't quite know what to do with it, and neither did the group. Nobody liked the song, recalled Maserati member Tony Christian. It sounded like a country version of something else. I didn't like it, agrees Brown Mark, because it wasn't what I wanted from Maserati. I wanted a rock band. He saw something different than I did. In 2003, Brown Mark expanded on how he felt on this evening. It sounded like a banjo, and he was just singing these words. I couldn't stand the song. There is no way in the world that we are putting this on the record. It was just too different. It doesn't even match what they are. And he said, make it fit them. We went into the studio and we put the feel on it. The full story of how the song came together will never be known. David Z and Brown Mark disagree about some of the details regarding how they breathed life into the track. But the one item that is consistent in every version is that everyone in the room felt the basic demo that Prince presented to the band needed a lot of work. We were trying to build a song out of nothing, piece by piece. It was just a collection of ideas built around the idea of a song that wasn't finished yet. We didn't know where it was going, remembered David Z. We went into the studio and came up with a funky beat for it. I said, I'm going to do it this way, do this my way, details Brown Mark. I'm going to make it a Maserati song and put a funky beat on it and put a funky bass line on it. Actually, the bass that is in the remix. That was the feel of the original bass line. According to engineer Coke Johnson, the track signature's groove came from how they created the drum track. We started fiddling around with it. We used the same changes, but instead of using that acoustic guitar, we ended up gating that guitar and the hi-hat. That is the weird sound you're hearing. It's playing the same rhythm the hi-hat's doing, but it's doing the changes the acoustic guitar did. That is one of the biggest hooks with it. David thought of the idea, and I hooked up the gate, and that's Coke Johnson. He was flipping the switch to throw the delay in and out, and actually created that sound for Kiss. It created a pretty cool rhythm that was constantly changing in tone and complexity, but was still steady, detailed David Z. Then I played some guitar chords and gated them through is it Capex unit? Where are my musicians out there? Is it Capex or is it another pronunciation? And used that to trigger various combinations of the hi-hat tracks. That gave us a basic rhythm groove for the song. The song was structured, but Prince had only provided the first verse. We were working on it, and he was next door in the next studio. I just said, we need a second verse, and he's so quick, he just jotted it down and handed it to me, and we did it. When he got inspired, it was instant. It was like a faucet he couldn't turn off. I can imagine him like, you need a second verse? Take it, I'm busy.
Here, take this.
Like, I'm recording. With the groove in place and the entire song written, Terry Casey added his lead vocals that were boosted by the catchy background vocals of Tony Christian, born Bruce DeShazer. Okay, I didn't know that Tony Christian's name wasn't.
Yeah, me neither.
Born Bruce DeShazer and Marv Gunn. Bruce and Marvin are great singers, continued David Z. So they did some gospel harmonies in the background. Basically, that is what it was. There is nothing else on there. There's drum, the acoustic guitar rhythm, the piano part, and the background vocals. At this point, it also contained Brown Mark's bass. According to David Z, the track wasn't quite working. We were getting a little frustrated, and we were exhausted. Unable to resolve it at that moment, 2 cassettes were created of a rough mix of the track, and everyone left shortly after 4 a.m.
So, you know what? I'm gonna go on record as saying this. We'll probably never know the truth of what happened with this song.
Yeah.
We'll never, just it's gonna be in Prince folklore forever on how it came to be and I'd love to hear the bass part Brown Mark had for it.
I'd love to hear that. Yeah.
Hear how that sounds and naturally, I don't think he's lying, so I understand why he feels some kind of way about it.
Yeah.
Not getting credit for it after he had done work on it and all of that. But I don't think we're ever gonna get, accurate, factual story about this or how this came to be. Because like Duane wrote, Brown Mark says one thing, David Z said something else.
Mm-hmm.
Prince is no longer with us to kind of say, this or that. What we do know is that there's a Prince demo of him singing and playing the acoustic guitar. Now we do know that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we hear that. But as far as everything else coming up with it, yeah, we'll never really, I don't even honestly sometimes like when Brown Mark got to this part in his autobiography, I think I skipped it. I just was just like, nah. It's too much back and forth with it. I was like, I'm kind of tired of reading about it.
Yeah, so I want to pull up this quote by Du Bois. I'm actually saying too much. So Scott Woods told me that I shouldn't be getting into. I should never talk about how I feel about songs because it's subjective, and it is subjective.
Shout out to Scott Woods.
Yes, I mean I'm just telling you how I feel. So one of the reasons why I feel like Kiss doesn't fit on Parade in particular is because how sparse it is compared to a lot of the other tracks, especially with like Claire Fisher's orchestration. Like there's layers and layers, and
yeah, it is the sparsest track on that album.
It's the sparsest track on that album. Yeah. But then on top of the sparseness of it, that sound that they're talking about, that David Z created, it bugs me personally. It always has, and it still does. Like it's like a scraping sound to me. It sounds like a scrape. I don't.
Yeah.
It's almost akin to how some people don't like to hear like fingernails on a chalkboard.
Yeah.
What it sounds like to me personally. So that's just me. Oh, I didn't know that Scott had some. I gotta wait until before I read Scott Wood.
But someone get Scott on the line. Let him come here and defend himself. let him. Hey, look, someone get him on the line. Tell him come on in and join us.
Let's see. That's what Lee Christian said. That's nothing like the song came out. He handed the demo off, but then it's exactly because he liked what came back that he used it. Same as Around the World Day. He was very open to others' ideas. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yes, we all do baby love. That's the reason why we're here every weekend talking about Prince for sure. Let's see. And Lady Crab Driver says, but the skeleton of the song is still Prince though, and also the lyrics.
Yeah.
And
I mean, he gave them a phenomenal blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
To build something off of. I mean, the fact that they took that country sounding song and made it something says a lot. Shout out to David Z and Brown Mark for that, because I'm sure that wasn't easy, as sparse as it sounds.
Yeah. Yes, Snacks. The guitar and the vocal delivery. Like for me, I mean, those are my favorite parts of the song. Are like the guitar is like on point for Kiss, and the vocal delivery.
Lady Cab Driver said Mark needs to stop whining.
I mean, he's entitled to like he did contribute.
Yeah. He feels like he's slighted, and I understand that.
Yeah.
So, I probably would feel some kind of way too if I knew like I had done something.
Yeah.
And then not gotten credit for it.
Yes. Okay. All right. We're having some opinions. I personally like opinions. I think it's really important to have different opinions. Oh no. Okay. We're gonna get to the end now. We're gonna hopefully fly through this because we're past our time. So in terms of 1985, there are 24 new songs total. I probably need to adjust the studio sessions. I need to go back in this week and really see like when Prince. Oh, that reminds me. So it seems like if we go back to the book that Maserati is recording in Studio 2 and Prince has been working in Studio 3. And when we read, it said that Prince was in the other studio, meaning I'm assuming Studio 3.
Yeah.
I want to know what was Prince recording in Studio 3 when Maserati were recording Kiss in Studio 2. That's not in here. So that's what I want to know, Duane, if we can get some clarity on that. Unless, the quote is out of date, meaning because like the quote says, when it comes to the second verse, they say that Prince was he was next door in the next studio.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, but it doesn't say what he was working on.
No, it doesn't say what he was working on.
So we know it was a parade era, some parade era music.
Possibly.
So, yeah, because it could have been Holly Rock. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much, Snacks, for commenting in the chat. That's what it's about. I'm so happy that you said this is fun. That's what it's. Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. And y'all hit the like button for us. We got 3 likes. Come on, it's like 50 people in here. We need y'all to hit the.
Yes, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Okay, so let's get to our end. So I'm going to adjust the studio sessions total. These are the songs that have been tracked so far in 1985. And these were the 3 for this week, which was Sometimes It Snows in April, Holly Rock, and Kiss. And if you haven't seen Sinners, please go see Sinners in IMAX. If you're just now joining us, we had a whole Sinners conversation at the beginning of this episode. And then hopefully somebody out on the West Coast went to go see Corey Henry. I'm curious, did anybody go that's here on the West Coast? Because I wanted to know what it was like. And Vanessa went to see Slum Village, which featured Chris Robb, which I was so excited about. And for those of you who are in the tri-state area, there is going to be an upcoming Alice Coltrane tribute at Carnegie Hall that I'm really looking forward to, because it's going to be Ravi Coltrane as well as Flying Lotus and others on May 16th. And then the Blue Note Jazz Festival is coming up. And if you have not seen Grace Jones live, you've got to see Grace Jones live. She's in her 70s and she has more energy than I do, alongside Janelle Monáe.
Pull up to the bumper.
Pull up to the bumper, baby. That's right. All right. And then here are the other folks that will be there. And
Marcus Miller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people. And Chris Robb. It's going to be
Okay.
Roaring G featuring Chris Robb. So Chris Robb is also going to be at the Blue Note Jazz Festival. And I'm blanking on somebody else. And then Omar is going to be touring this summer. So make sure you get your tickets. He's coming back to the States twice in 1 year. Is unheard of. And the tickets for the upcoming symposium have gone on sale, and it's June 5th through 8th. And I'm very excited that they are going to be celebrating around the world in a day, as well as a family. So I'm really, 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 really great. Yes, you got to go see Sinners. Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah, I understand, Kim. It is costly for sure. I was like, what? But I bit the bullet.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
You bought tickets? Okay.
No, I mean, I was going to go see it, but I wanted to see it on IMAX.
Oh, okay.
Not see it. IMAX is more expensive. I'm definitely in Sinners. And so Zakiya said, saw Sinners twice. So that's the reason why I had to wait to see it, because I wanted to see it in IMAX. Otherwise, I could have seen it. But I was
look at y'all supporting. That's what I'm talking about. People, that's a beautiful thing.
Yes, we're supporting. We're supporting because I want theaters to still exist. One, and if you watch that video from Ryan Coogler, who's the director, where he goes over the different film formats, because they shot it in 2 film formats at the same time, 70 millimeter and IMAX. Okay. And if I remember correctly, that has never been done before. So
that's what's up. Phenomenal.
Yeah. So I'm going to put that video. It was on Kodak's YouTube channel. So if you want to watch it, there's so many different film formats for this film. It's like, it's insane. So I need to watch that again. It's like a lot of information. I will let you know, D, if the Slurpees are even more than $8 at IMAX. Yes, and Heavenly Games is going to their second viewing.
Oh, shoot! All right.
And so Zakiya already told us that
she saw it twice.
Twice, and Heavenly Games is seeing it twice. Oh, you and my mama love Senior Day. I think
get the discount. There you go.
Yeah. When does Senior Day start? Because I'm gonna be 55 in November. Is it 55 or is it 60? Because if it's 55, maybe I'll be going to see. So Kim said 70 mil. So yeah, if you can't see it in IMAX, you can also see it in 70 millimeter. And so 70 millimeter is like when it's very thin, like the old John Wayne movies and all that. And yeah, Grace Jones is amazing. Like, you have to see her live. And 60. Okay.
Yeah, about 5 more years, Yanza. Hold tight. Hold the line.
Yes. I gotta hold the line. Yes, matinees are good. Matinees are always cheaper. I'm going to a matinee, so I try
But hey, look, yes. I don't do after matinee movies no more.
Yeah, no, I don't either. Yeah, they're too expensive. All right, so Ricky, take us on home.
All right, thank y'all for joining us. Shout out to our guys who couldn't be here: Michael Dean, C. Lee, Ted, Arthur, all the other cohorts. Prince said in his Around the World in a Day song, "By little I will escort you to the places within your mind," and he certainly did. So happy 40th to Around the World in a Day. Y'all keep celebrating, spread some purple love. See y'all next week.
Peace.